Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing the fate of the Marvel Netflix series. So 2 days ago, they announced that Punisher, after its second season, would be canceled, and Jessica Jones would also be canceled. However, a season 3 is set to air later this year, and that will be it for all of the Marvel Netflix series. They will all be gone. And this follows the cancellation of Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist after their respective seasons had aired. So this is just kind of speculation on what's happening, because obviously if Netflix is getting rid of all these very popular series that they have, then there's got to be some kind of something going on behind the scenes, either with Disney or with Netflix internally, that is causing them to get rid of these series, especially Daredevil, which was doing really well, the Punisher series, which was doing well, Jessica Jones, and a bunch of others. So let's just kind of examine some of the options here on what, and this is going to be mostly speculation on my part. There is some information that is influencing this, but the most likely scenario is that Disney is going to try and put these shows on their new streaming service, which is set to debut at some point this year. And if they do that, then there's going to be some contractual things that are going to be interesting. Now, I don't know about the other series, but Daredevil in particular, the actors did sign a contract that stated they would not appear as that character outside of the Netflix platform for 18 months to 2 years. They wasn't 100% specific, but that contract apparently was confirmed to exist by one of the Daredevil actors. And apparently everybody that worked on the show, that specific show at least, had to sign those contracts. Now, I don't know if, per se, the other shows had that. I haven't seen anything about those actors confirming or denying whether or not a similar contract existed for them. But it would be very interesting to see if that was the case, and if Marvel really does want these series, then they would have to do one of two things. They would either have to A, buy out the contracts, and say that they would have to basically pay Netflix essentially a fee for these actors to get out of the contracts, so that they could keep portraying the characters and continue the series on the Disney streaming service, as well as probably buy out the existing series from Netflix, even though I think they do have part ownership. So that's one option. The other option is they could be going for a full reboot of these characters, which I think would kind of be a shame, especially actually pretty much for all of those characters, because I think the actors that have played them they've even some of them that started off a little shaky, they've done really good jobs, especially recently. Luke Cage, Michael Coulter, has done really good. Finn Jones as Iron Fist has done very well. Kristen Ritter is Jessica Jones. Charlie Cox, of course, is Daredevil, and John Barathol as the Punisher. Now, I said in my Future of the MCU video that I thought that Daredevil and Punisher would wind up getting film outings. And here's kind of my theory on what Disney might do with those properties going forward. And it's kind of the idea of, I think I stated this before, is that there are some Disney needs to kind of establish a grittier version of Marvel. With some of these street level characters like the Punisher and Daredevil, and I think I threw Ghost Rider in there. Now they have Blade, and all those characters that they work in the shadows more or less. They don't really interact with a lot of the upper level heroes like Iron Man and Captain America for the most part. But they're around, and they need to, if you establish kind of like an underlayer to the MCU instead of this big fantastical stuff, give them kind of like smaller stories. You can have them be kind of more dark and gritty films, more adult oriented. Maybe throw a few rated R's in there, like the Punisher films would 100% have to be rated R. But to see John Barathol play that character on screen for a feature film would be amazing. And maybe you can lump him into some big team up MCU movies later on. It's just like guys going around doing stuff. Have them kind of interact with those upper heroes eventually, but kind of have them keep in their own lane essentially. But I think actually all of those characters could be up for film adaptation. Daredevil and Punisher, I think 100% would be. And then you could possibly do stuff with the other three characters, because I think I mentioned in my Future of the MCU video, which you could have Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and you could do a Heroes for Hire movie, which would be interesting. Which basically Heroes for Hire was this kind of security business that Luke Cage and Iron Fist start in the comic books to kind of make ends meet, since they're basically like street level heroes. They don't have money like Tony Stark and stuff like that. And then you could probably lump Jessica Jones into that too, because she's married to Luke Cage in the comic books, so that would work itself out. But you could definitely lump those characters in some way, shape, or form on the cinematic side, even if you don't continue the television shows. Now, the question of retaining the actors is an entirely different scenario because of that contract, number one, because I don't know if Disney wants to wait the full 2 years to get those characters into the MCU. I mean, I know they have certain things slated between now and the end of 2020, but they might not want to wait to start developing projects. Although, to be fair, I think the contract only says that they cannot appear in anything. So it's a possibility that maybe they can line some stuff up for them, and they'll say, look, we're going to sign you on X date to do X, Y, and Z, but we can't legally sign you until then. We're just letting you know we want to sign you, and they can basically start a courting process almost, with the main characters at least. So that would be interesting. But you're not going to get... I don't think you're going to get an entire just washing of the hands and removal of these characters. I think Disney has a plan. They want to do something with these characters, which is why they're being pulled from Netflix. Otherwise, if they didn't want to do anything with them, they could just leave them on Netflix, because they're doing relatively well over there. So it wouldn't make sense to remove them at this point. But I think they have to be doing something with them, and I don't necessarily know what side that's going to be on. I think it might have a lot to do with the streaming service, especially because it's going to be like the DC streaming service in a lot of ways. They're going to be starving for content, and they're going to want to put as much content on there as possible. So if they can secure continuations for these television shows to put on there, then that would be a big step forward for them to keep people interested in it until they can get more content. So I could see that, and I could also see them transitioning some of those characters over into feature films as well, which again I would like to see. Either one of those would be great to see, because I think all of those series are good in their own right in a lot of ways, and a lot of those seasons ended on cliffhangers. I know Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Iron Fist definitely did. Luke Cage. Daredevil kind of ends, not necessarily cliffhanger, but it ends with a continuation, and then the Punisher series and all that, they all kind of end. We're like, okay, we're ready for another season. There's no finality essentially to the endings. I mean, you hypothetically could leave them off there, but it wouldn't really sit well with, they make it so that they're open to more of the story being told. So, tell me what you think about the cancellation of these shows, and what you think might happen with these characters, and especially if they can retain these actors in the comments. Leave a like on the video, hit the bell for notifications, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?